Greetings, Steiners, and welcome to another edition of the Collapse Cafe here on the Doomstead Diner. Well, we are back. I am back in the saddle here for another short YouTube to discuss the latest news from the International Energy Administration, who have declared that peak oil will arrive for demand in 2029. Now, if you look at the charts on the production of oil, we reached a peak in November of 2018 that has not been surpassed. And it doesn't look like that particular number is going to be surpassed anytime in the near future. So whether peak oil has already arrived or is going to arrive in the near future, it has become the subject of much discussion once again. It was all the rage back in 2006 to about 2010, and where people were declaring that, well, the world was in imminent danger of complete collapse at the time. And we did have the financial crisis at that time as well. So things did look pretty ugly back then. But the day was saved by the Federal Reserve, and we have been percolating along here fairly well for the last 15 years. The question is where we're going from here, right? And whether demand for oil will rebound at some point or whether we are on the downslope in perpetuity. And with the lower energy footprint that we will have as a result, our standard of living will decay as well. And then the next question is it going to be a rapid decline, what they call a Seneca cliff, made famous by a good friend of mine, Hugo Bardi, or will it be a slower catabolic collapse, a term used by another collapse blogger, John Michael Greer, for a while, popularized. Those questions are very important to people who are trying to prepare themselves for this future at whatever level it ends up being. And then there, of course, a fairly large community of people who believe that this is going to result in fairly near-term human extinction, NTHE. That probability to me seems pretty low, at least in the near term. Eventually, of course, we're destined for extinction, but the calls that it's going to happen in 10 years or 20 years time is just, in my opinion, not credible. There are people out there like Guy McPherson who have been saying we would be extinct. Well, we should have been extinct by about 2012 or 2016 by his accounting. But again, just like with the lights still being on, cars still getting gasoline and so forth, the end has not arrived yet for the human race or for industrial civilization. They both are still alive, and if not well, they are at least coughing along. So what are the possibilities here moving into the future, and what's going on now? Well, we do have the situation of mass migration, which has been in the news. People coming up to the fascist states of America from South America, from Central America, and also coming in from across the two oceans. They come in through South and Central America, from China, from Africa, land in South America, and then make their way up and cross the border from Mexico into the fascist states of America. So we have this wave of migrants that's coming up, and the wave of migrants is a result of poverty and changing climate and all of the results of uh, our profligate use of energy and the distribution of wealth and so forth across the world, so that we have, just like we have very rich people and poor people with very little in the middle these days, we have a few wealthy nations, although most of that wealth is debt, and then a whole bunch of impoverished countries that are well, all through South America, all through Africa, and Southeast Asia, and so forth. Um, so people are trying to leave the poor places and get to places where they hopefully feel they believe they would have a better future. Whether they would or not is questionable at this point because, well, there's no place for them to live. uh, if you have followed also, we have a massive affordable housing crisis and a massive homeless person crisis going on in our country here. And same thing is true in most of the countries of Europe and Australia and so forth. Um, you have more and more people unable to afford decent housing, and for a fairly large and growing portion of the population, that means sleeping out on the street, sleeping rough, as they say, with tents or sometimes even without tents. Um, and as the people flow in, the migrant shelter system that many cities have has become overwhelmed. And so what's happening there is that these people are ending up showing up on your street corner, and they are not looting, I would say, but helping themselves in many ways to shoplift off of shelves in the various stores. I have friends who work in retail and have mentioned that this is a ongoing problem of the amount of shrinkage, they call it, in the business. Um, and so that that whole aspect of our society that we sort of take for granted, that you know people shop and uh, pay a certain amount of money for stuff and whatnot. It's all becoming, very difficult to manage um, as you have an increasing class of people that has been fairly well cut off from all the normal things you would expect in life. They don't even really have the ability to get a job. They don't have working papers for it. Even if they could get a job, the jobs that are available are very low paid. What you can earn these days, even with a rising minimum wage, doesn't allow you to pay the costs of even basic one-bedroom type apartments. So uh, the whole structure of the society is in the process of breaking down. And this is even before you have the full effects of peak oil and the disappearance of uh, energy from our daily lives. Uh, this is going to make a very big difference come November. And we have a couple of uh, candidates. Donald Trump uh, for the Republicans and Joe Biden. For the Democrats, septuagenarians, octogenarians, just geriatrics, basically, uh, running. And our entire government is run by exceedingly old people. If you look at Congress, it's old, mostly white people doing it. And they pretty much seem to have lost touch with the realities of life. They are uh, millionaires, just about all of them. If they weren't millionaires when they got elected, they became millionaires once they were in office. You kind of have to ask yourself, well, how does that happen when, Congress critters salary is, $150,000, $200,000 a year. I'm not sure what they make these days, but uh, they somehow manage to quickly accumulate large amounts of money. And uh, that all does come, we know, from backdoor sorts of payments from the lobbying industry. Votes are bought for the various legislation that different interests want enacted, and that's how the game is played. So who you vote for and what party doesn't really matter. It's who has the money, and you buy what you want in our government. At any rate, what I did want to talk about, or just say today, is I have uh, decided that the Doomstead Diner and the Klops Cafe would like to encourage a march on Washington and an occupation of not just Washington, but the two cities, Milwaukee and Chicago, that are hosting the Democratic and Republican national conventions. I feel that it is time for the homeless population and for the refugee population to make their presence known and fill the streets of those two cities, much in the way that the Yippies, the Young International Party, filled the streets of Chicago in 1968. Uh, it is, we have to, as a population, start to become more visible and more active in our protests, in our uh, desire to see change made, real change in the way our government is managed, the way our society is functioning, uh, how we use energy, how we distribute wealth. All those things have to be radically uh, reevaluated and changed. And it's not going to happen through the typical political process and through the candidates, certainly not through the two candidates that we have currently running for office. So, once again, I'm encouraging you all to go to Milwaukee and to Chicago, and hopefully the diner will be present there and the Flats Cafe in some fashion. I'm not sure how yet, but we will try to do it. And I'd like to encourage you all also to visit us at chasingthesquirrel.com. You'll find the Collapse Cafe there, and you'll also find a button to donate and help us out. There's a button on Chasing the Squirrel and another one on the Doomstead Diner, which is a forum for you all to talk with us about things that are going on. So you can find places to help us out on both of those websites. And also chat with us and bring your concerns to us and bring your ideas for how we can become more active and make some changes. All right? So that's all the news. This time, until next time, here on the Doomstead Diner. Hasta la hasta.